High school sports have evolved thanks to PrepSpin. Tonight, catch all the hard-hitting action live and in real time as the game happens in 1080p HD video. Join us tonight for the Mingy Beef Jerky High School Football Game of the Week with the legend, Gary Ball, Coach Mike Meehan, and the king of stream, William Warfield. Nobody does high school football like PrepSpin does. The Mingy Beef Jerky High School Game of the Week comes your way now.
Well, not exactly the Mingy Beef Jerky High School Game of the Week. That's Friday night. But William Warfield here alongside Gary Ball, the legend. And Gary, I know we've been talking about it for a while, but bringing back the podcast so that everybody can tune in and we just kind of give our spin on sports each month here.
We'll have fun with it. We'll have great guests on with us starting next week with our initial podcast. We're going to do it today and talk about what went on the KHSA today and also talk about the final show of the Scholastic Ball Report.
That's right, and that was a big week here this past week, and actually the whole month. I mean, of you kind of going out and filming that show right there. Can you just talk to us about going through 23 years of the Scholastic Ball Report here in the Lexington market, plus however many years you had it up in Northern Kentucky, but just putting a wrap on it. Tell us about that and kind of how you feel right now.
I feel good about the show. We ended on a positive note. We ended in a very good way. Um, Bridget really helped a lot. We went Monday night and Wednesday night and taped different guests on the show. Then went back the following Wednesday and did the drive-by. The thing where I was in the car. That was Bridget's idea too. But putting the show together for a final show was kind of memorable for me because I remember all the great kids on the show and all the great interns and it was just a blast having them on. And, Cami Moore came out. She's now communication director at UK, works with the women's basketball team. She's a former intern. Mario Anderson. Mario was the first intern I hired on the show. The very first one I hired. He's now an anchor at Spectrum News, doing a great job. Things are really starting to blossom for Mario Anderson. And we also had Parker Panel on. Parker's done movies. He's done a couple movies. He's also been on the Warped show on Nickelodeon. He's now a roving reporter from Nickelodeon. Goes all over the world reporting. He's reported on the Super Bowl, different things like that. Those are the great interns. And then Doug Flynn came in too. You remember Doug? Doug was my cohort on baseball state championships for about 20 years, and he's a great guy. And he came in and did a final segment with us too. The Roberts Insurance brothers were in. We talked to Joe and John Roberts about everything Roberts Insurance, and we talked to Rob Ullery came in with UK Sports Medicine, kind of wrapped that up and told how back in 2003 how we met, what we talked about and all that, how we got this show going. Rob was real instrumental in getting this Scholastic Ball Report off the ground because without sponsors, we weren't going to do the show. We had to have people sponsoring it. So they did, and Rob was a big part of that. So putting the final show together was bittersweet, King. It was bittersweet, and I knew that the show would be over, but I also knew that we did really well. We did great work. 5 years up in Cincinnati, 23 years, almost 30 years of TV. I tell you, that's unbelievable when you think about it. That we did almost 30 years, but that's what we did with the Ball Report.
I was going to say a lot of the TV shows don't run that long. I mean, now they do with all this on-demand stuff, but if you could go back and take all those interviews that you did over the years and kind of put them in one place, I mean that would be pretty pretty awesome. And I know we've got here, we've got this big hard drive, and I know at least the last 5 years we've got all those interviews recorded, and then the station WKYT, I bet you they have all those interviews recorded. So it would actually be pretty awesome to just go back and put all those interviews in one place. But when you think about longevity of a show, what you did is rare, and it's very, very special. So congratulations on all those years that you've been on TV.
Well, thank you, William, for all that you did on the show. You pulled us out of COVID with your expertise, and you and Bridget did the shows when I was recuperating, so to speak, from my stroke. But you did that, and that was special to me. So you always have a special place. The show. We had to wrap it up. It was time. Everybody, some people asked me, I wish you could have done it a little bit longer. But what's the difference between 23 and 25 years, 30 years? Some people don't understand how much work went into that show. There was a lot of work on the Scholastic Ball Report, getting guests lined up, and also making sure that highlights were done by KYT, and the features. KYT did a lot of features, so there was a lot of coordination on the show, and we were lucky to get it put it together for that long. And KYT didn't want to end the show, but we told him it was time, and so we ended it on our own terms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of people is watching tonight, obviously, because they told me, hey, William, you got an echo in your microphone. So I fixed that just now. So thank you for reaching out and letting me know that. But Gary, talk to me about stepping away from the show here this past week, and when you did that little segment there about driving off from the TV station. What was your feelings when you did that? And I know that's something you had planned, but I know that being the guy that you are and how emotionally attached you are to high school sports, that must have hit you pretty hard when you were pulling off from the station.
Yeah, it did. It really did. I got kind of emotional inside a little bit, but I realized that with what we're doing with high school football on TV now and KYT and this podcast, and I still had other things I could do and be involved with. If it wasn't for that, I think I would have probably broke down. But just like but it would have been easy to break down. But I think I got a little emotional when Cammy started talking about what the show meant to her and everything, because she came out in person. But it's just neat to know that it meant a lot to high school interns and all the kids that were on the show. I mean, if you were a kid on the Scholastic Ball Report, it didn't matter what you play. You could play any sport. I mean, anything KHSA sanctions, whether it be bowling or archery or bass fishing, or it doesn't matter. You could have been on the show, and that's one thing I'm proud of, King, is that we highlighted every kid. It didn't have to be an All American or an All State player. Just any type of kid. We even had managers on the show. Remember that? The two managers from
Yeah.
Montgomery County. So it didn't matter what you played or what you did, you could be on the show. And I think that was something that we took a lot of pride in. We took a lot of pride in letting anybody on the show. It didn't matter what sport or what you did. You could be on the Scholastic Ball Report. So I'm proud of that. But back, I think I missed the point on your asking me about the drive off. I just think it was classic because we had the Sutherland Chevrolet Drive of the Week. Well, here we are. We're driving off on the show and saying goodbye, and that just gave us some closure. That's what I thought about it. It was closure to the show, and I thank Bridget for coming up with that idea.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, you're not riding off into the sunset by any means. That was just you pulling away from the station,
Yeah,
from the show for a while. But um,
yeah,
you know what we've got planned. With this new partnership with WKYT, where we're putting
yeah,
games on, select games. I think when I looked at the schedule over the course of the whole year, it's like 40 games or something like that that we'll end up putting on TV. But you're going to be part of all that, all those big basketball and football, and we might even do some softball and baseball in there at some point.
Yeah,
Um, you and I both love baseball,
yeah,
so I'm looking forward to really doing a big multi-camera baseball game and putting it on TV one night, especially in our area because everybody loves baseball around here. Uh, but basketball season, when I think of basketball season coming up, I think that nobody does it better than we do. And I like to think
right.
that on Friday nights for football, nobody's done it better than we have. Um, so we're a well polished, outfit. I think when it comes to putting it all together and with you and Coach Me and doing the play by play, and then with my video expertise of getting it out there and making sure that it looks good and all that good stuff. And not to toot my horn, but I think we're the best in the business at what we do, you and I. But when you have that synergy together right there, it's a special product.
I think you're right. I think when you got something that looks as good as PrepSpin's 1080p, you gotta really be into the announcing side of it, like Coach Bean and I are, and like Tony Wise will be in basketball. If you're not, you're going to look good, but you're going to sound bad. So we try to keep our level up, to the how good it looks, because it looks damn good, and you do a good job with that. And we want to continue announcing our side. As a matter of fact, I'm working on the game Friday night. Right after I get off the show tonight, I got some charts to do. Right, actually, Bridget does. I got some charts to relay to her because I do a lot of prep. I don't try to over prep. I just do enough to where I feel comfortable calling the game, and you know how I am, and knowing all the players and kids that get in there. So I get a two deep from the coaches, not only a starter, I get the backups players and all that, and that's what we'll be doing. It's
I
going to be great.
Yeah, and we are live tonight. We're not. This isn't being recorded. We're streaming it live. Well, I mean, we're recording it, but we're live. This is a live show. Um, so we are here on Wednesday night, October 1st, a little after 8 o'clock, and you know Gary Ball here and myself, William Warfield. Gary, you came up with my tagline, the King of Stream, and I've been calling you legend for I don't know how long. Um, and the reason because of that is because I'm like, man, this guy's pretty good at what he does, and it just kind of was fitting to call you that. And I certainly think that you know not only is the next step for us doing these TV broadcasts and this podcast a great thing, but I think you've already paved your way uh, to get into the Hall of Fame here very, very soon. And I'm just excited to kind of catch that ride, if you will, hop on that wagon towards the towards the long ride, if you will, towards the end of the long ride, to say, hey, man, this guy kind of rubbed off on me a little bit, and I'm just excited because of that.
You know, when you think of legendary, I started back in 1984, I think it was, at WHKK in Erlanger. And what I did first there, King, is Dale McMillan and Hardy Tribble did the games, and they would come back to the studio for scores. I'd give them scores of the other Northern Kentucky games and halftime and final scores. I did that for a year or two. Then Dale asked me to do play-by-play. Then in '86, I started doing play-by-play, but I didn't do Kentucky games. I did Cincinnati games. I did all the GCL, Greater Catholic League with Moeller, Elder, St. X, Purcell, all those schools. And then I started doing Kentucky games, in ninth region, all that. And up in Northern Kentucky, I don't have to tell you, but I did it up there for about almost 20 years. and I went in the Northern Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame, and they kind of surprised me. Then I said, "You want me to be there for what?" And they said, "You're going in the Hall of Fame." I said, "My goodness," because I was only there about 17, 18 years, and I thought you had to be doing some 40 or 50 years to get in the Hall of Fame. But as far as the KHSA Hall of Fame, I don't do this to be in Hall of Fames, and they've honored me with enough. I mean, I do a lot of I did the Sweet 16 basketball tournament on TV for them. I do all the football championships, the baseball championships. So they really don't have to I don't have to be in the Hall of Fame to know that they've been good to me and that I've been good for them and you've been good for them. So, we want to keep doing this. I think KYT has opened up a really good avenue for us with this Friday night game. I mean, this Friday we're going to Montgomery County. We can shine the spotlight on Montgomery County, West Jasmine. Next week, I think we got Catholic and Mercer County. Then the following week, we're doing Danville and the LCA. Those are some good games coming up, William. I mean, I tell you, you don't have to be a scientist to figure it out. It's a really good schedule.
Yeah, we've been, when you look at the schedule, we've been able to broadcast already this year in those games that we've had on here. I mean,
Wow.
the Boyle County Lexington Catholic game, the LCA Lexington Catholic game.
Yeah.
Last week we were over there. We saw Lafayette at East Jessamine, and Lafayette looked tremendous.
Yeah.
Um, we've had some really good quality games. I feel um, that we've already broadcast this season, and we're kind of touching a little bit of everybody, especially with us going to Montgomery on Friday.
Yeah.
I've never been there. I did spend a year working up there when I worked with Radio Shack back in the day and managing the store when it was there in town, but I've never been to the high school to actually broadcast a game. And I know that's Tanya Witt country up there, that great photographer with Rise Up Sports. So I'm looking forward to maybe catching her up there. I think her son plays up there with the football team, and but I do feel like going to Montgomery County has a special uh, thing to it that it's new for us because we haven't been up there, but also I want to see this West Jessamine team as well, and that's a piece of home that I get to cover. So I'm looking forward to going up there and covering the Colts as well. So and I know you and Coach Meehan have prepped for this game, and you'll continue to do so, like you said. And I think Friday night's going to be a special night.
Do too. I hope everybody tunes in there in Mount Sterling at 7:30 as they play West Jessamine. I think it's going to be a really good ball game. I think West Jessamine on paper should be favored, but I think Montgomery County playing at home will be fired up in their house. They don't want anybody to come into their house and embarrass them. So it's going to be a good game in that regard. And I'm just looking forward to the rest of the. And I tell you what, this basketball season is going to be unbelievable. There's going to be some really good teams in the Lexington area this year. Bryan Station's going to be good with Owens back, and Lexington Catholic's going to be really good. They got all their team back. So Lexington
Yeah,
Catholic, I mean, there's going to be some really good teams. I'm looking forward to covering this year on PrepSpin and WKYT.
yeah. Lexington Catholic's got all those middle school kids that came up that just had an unbelievable season as well, and I know that Coach Salzman will be using those guys a little bit this season, get them some experience under their belt. But I think they're going to come in ready to play. And when you talk about just basketball in general in Lexington's area, like you said, it's top notch. And then
Yep.
when you think about some of the schools that we do outside of Lexington, I think we talked about West Jessamine football. Well, West Jessamine girls basketball is going to be outstanding this year.
Yep.
The Mitchell girl, and I mean, just phenomenal.
Yep.
Um, and then
Claire
you know,
Marshall. Yep.
oh, Marshall. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said Mitchell for some reason. I meant Marshall. Um, I knew it was an M. That's why I got Gary Ball on here with me to correct me on that. But yeah, she's going to be outstanding.
Yeah,
Um,
she's listed as one of the not only top players in the state. She's a top recruit. She's a top 10 player in Kentucky, and West Jessamine is going to be really good with her. And then beyond that, William, look at Great Crossing. Their basketball. They lost a lot. They lost Malachi Moreno and Dawson. They've got a really good team coming back. He's got some young players that are going to step up, have to be in new roles, but don't count Greg Crossing out. And you look at other teams around the area. Dunbar, Tate's Creek, Lafayette, and But I already mentioned Lexington Catholic. I think Lexington Catholic is going to be good. LCA, I love Ted Hall at LCA, the coach, because he rides me in his his golf cart around all the time. But I love him, and we were talking in the golf cart, and he told me he said they got some nice looking players and they're going to be solid. I think it's going to be a good year for them too. It's going to be a great year in basketball.
Speaking of LCA, Coach Bradshaw's girls team over there, they're going to be really good this year. Um,
Yeah,
I think they've got some loaded talent over there. I know Roberts Insurance is a big supporter of them over there as well. But
yeah,
you know, I really think that they're going to be good. Um,
yeah.
did Claire did she graduate?
Yeah, she's at UK now,
Yeah.
and I understand she's taking a minor in broadcasting. So she's going to pursue this. I think along with another field she's looking at. So business, I think.
Yeah, I thought she was a senior, but just the younger talent that they've got coming up there. I was talking to Coach Bradshaw the other day when we were over actually covering the football game, and he's got a he's got a heck of a lineup on the schedule. He showed me some of his schedule, and he's going after. I mean, there's nobody that he's avoiding.
That's right. He'll play anybody, won't he? And we're looking forward to the season, girls basketball and boys basketball, and the rest of this football season. It'll culminate with the playoffs in November, and it should be a really good playoff system. And we're looking forward to what might happen.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything that you want to touch on this very, very first? Well, it's not our first podcast together, but we did it all through COVID. But
Yeah.
we decided to bring it back this year, this school year. But is there anything that you want to touch on before? I know we did the draw show today over at the KHSA office for the fall sports show, or fall sports events. Um, and we had field hockey, and which is that's pretty much all Louisville schools there, with the field hockey thing. But um, we did have the soccer draw, and we did have the girls volleyball draw over there today. And obviously those brackets will be available right now on the KHSA website, khsa.org. But that happened today, so the playoffs are here. I think districts start this coming week. There's actually one school district that actually had a district game tonight,
Mm.
because they were talking about it earlier when I was at the KHSA office. They're like, well, this one's super early. They're starting tonight, and then they've got district games going over the next couple of weeks because of the fall breaks for a lot of the schools. So um, the next 2.5 weeks, nothing but district tournaments. It sounds like.
Yeah, there's a ton of football games tomorrow night because of fall break. I looked at the schedule and there's about 20 games Thursday night, and then the games Friday night. But it is an interesting time of the year because you got so many fall sports. Got the golf championships coming up next week in Bowling Green, boys and girls, and you got, as you say, the volleyball, the soccer, boys and girls are coming up, and then of course it'll culminate with the football championships on December 5th and 6th. And I tell you, the football right now is real interesting, William, because you look at all the teams that are jockeying for position, and and Sayer's still in there in single A. LCA is really highly regarded in 2A. Lexington Catholic's really highly regarded in 3A, and then 4A and 5A. But you got Franklin County who's really up there. Douglas is still ranked. Bryan Station moved in the top 10. There's a lot of teams around here that got a really good shot coming December, I think, to make some noise, and a lot of them probably will. We'll probably be covering a lot of them.
Yeah, I think that Franklin County Flyer team is the real deal.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's gonna beat them this season the way they're playing.
Yeah.
LCA gave them a heck of
Undefeated.
a shot, but they're solid.
They're really solid, and they're well coached. They have a great coach over there. It's been on the Scholastic. Speaking of the Scholastic Ball Report, been on there about 2 or 3 times, and that's the thing about this show. It's on so long. We had a lot of the coaches and players on. Multiple times. They'd wonder they'd come out there and they'd been on before, and they enjoyed it because they were used to it. So we gave them a platform to do it, and they had been there before, been there, done that. So the experience was there for them. But I tell you, KHSA does a really good job of giving these kids a platform for their sports, and also just highlighting them. And that's what we try to do on our show for 20 some years. Try to give them another little way to say, hey, here's a boost. Here's a little shot in the arm for what you've done and keeping good grades or whatever. You're going to be on TV also and get a plaque. And I think the KHSA does that a lot too. They give a lot of awards out, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at them as a whole, what they do you don't get that in any other state. With everything that they've got available on their website, that's available to everybody to look up, and then I mean, just going from checking scores to getting information, that kind of stuff. But then the tournaments that they put on, the big events that they put on, are second to none. I mean, they run it like a college event. I've been to some of these big college events, and nothing, absolutely nothing.
Nothing. You're right.
Compares to the Sweet 16. That's the honest truth. And then the football state championships is another thing, over at Kroger Field, and how they secure these big college arenas where, these high school players will be playing possibly tomorrow there. Is amazing that they get to play in those venues, and it's a big reward for them for doing an outstanding job on the season and making it to where they made it to. So kudos to all the staff over at the KHSA for putting in all the hard work and making all this stuff happen.
Yep. Yeah, the girls get to play at John Crop Field at UK, and the boys play at the Kentucky Proud Park. These are primo stadiums. Second to none. Kroger Field for football, like you said, and Rupp Arena for basketball. I mean, these kids get to play in the ultimate arenas, and I'm just and you and I are just happy to be part of it, a little part of it.
Yeah, and this year you can add Lexington Sporting Club over there for the soccer championship, the state championship. The two state championships will be played over there. The semifinals, I believe, is what they said will be played. I'm thinking that they said today that it's at Paul Lawrence Dunbar, right? So that's where that'll be at. But the state championship games will be over at Lexington Sporting Club, if I remember right.
And that's a beautiful facility, just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, Friday night, obviously, we got a big football game up in
Yep.
Montgomery County. I'm looking forward to that. I'm
And
glad we
tell
got
all the
to.
folks, tell everybody watching the podcast where they can catch that game at.
Yeah, so you can watch it on, 27.3 on air. So that's the WKYT 365 BLK channel,
Hmm.
27.3. And then 193 on Spectrum, we're being told, is where people can find it.
Right.
And then you can also get it on the WKYT Plus app. So it'll be on there.
Which is a free app.
It is a free app, right? And I believe they have archives of stuff on there as well that you can go back and watch. I haven't
Yeah, I know the
downloaded that yet.
Lafayette East Jessamine game is still on there.
Okay, so yeah, so you can go back and watch that, and then I'm trying to think what else. If we have the bandwidth, that's the thing is because we're going up there, and we're not sure how much bandwidth we're going to have. But if we have the bandwidth, we'll put it on all of our normal channels that we do as far as online content goes. So on PrepSpin and all that good stuff. Facebook, Twitter, all that. But we got to see what kind of bandwidth we have. We know we can get the TV signal out to the TV station, but from there we won't know until we get up there Friday night. But
right,
I would suggest folks just watch it on TV or watch it on WKY TV Plus app this Friday night.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to these podcasts with you, William. We'll have great guests on in the future. I know I've been thinking about some. You've been thinking about some, and we'll line them up and we'll have one, and we'll be talking to them. It'll be a great time, and just two good friends sitting around talking to sports people, and it's a lot of fun. Just like remember we did this back during the pandemic. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think what I'm going to do too with this version of the podcast is, a lot of times coaches don't have time to call it on the nights that we actually, do these live. So I think I'm going to get the camera out and go final this time, and we'll play some recorded segments for folks out there. We'll just kind of talk to them about just general conversation about how the season's going, that kind of thing, and just to have a little bit of extra stuff here on the podcast that we can cut over to that just to fill everybody in on what's going on with their programs. And so I plan on doing some of that stuff, and then we'll talk about everything, even stuff outside of high school sports, which is something I've been getting into a lot. Obviously, with my daughter playing softball, is there's a lot of cool content I think out there with talking to some of those coaches, and I want to bring some of the really good ones on that that help coach these girls up and right before high school, right before middle school and that kind of stuff. But a lot of those coaches need to be recognized. I want to bring some of them on, and probably same thing with the baseball coaches, and I know there's a lot of youth basketball coaches out there as well. Big Things Kentucky would be great to have on as well. With the youth basketball coaches, because they're all into that scene as well. And we're just going to have all of our media friends too. I think we'll end up having a lot of our media friends come on and talk with us. And you mentioned Milam earlier. He'd be great to have on. And then hopefully we have some of the KHSA staff on with us and continue that tradition like you did with the Ball Report, kind of give them that outlet to talk and get it out there in public as well. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's going to be a hit.
I am too, and this is our first podcast, so we're looking to many more to come, and we got a lot of interesting things to cover. So it's going to be fun, King.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap for the night. It's a wrap, Gary Ball, as we say on your show. So after just to fill everybody in, whenever I even had Gracie out here sometimes on the mic telling Gary Ball, "That's a wrap, Gary," when we would be done filming the show on a specific night. So, so for tonight, that is a wrap. And the next show, we'll announce who our guest is going to be, and we'll have it on all these channels that you're watching it on tonight, as far as the social media goes and the PrepSpin.com and all that stuff. But again, looking forward to it, Gary Ball, and just being able to ride shotgun here with the legend is going to be pretty cool for me. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
It's going to be fun for me too, William. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, for the legend Gary Ball, I'm the king of stream. Until next time, so long, everybody.